Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk.
Charlie.
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9,
WORD.
the voice of the Carolinas.
And welcome to the program on your Thursday afternoon. Glad to have you along with us. So glad you're here. By golly, I love you guys, and I love you that you tune in and listen to me rant and rave every afternoon. It is so much fun. It really is. Want to remind you of an important event going on tonight. We have got the Senate 12 Forum happening tonight, and this is between Hope Blackley, Justin Bradley, and Lee Bright. It is going to be going on at the Duncan Events Center, and this starts at 6:45 this evening. That is 6:45 this evening at the Duncan Events Center, the Senate 12 debate. Again, Hope Blackley, Justin Bradley, and Lee Bright are going to be taking the stage. It's going to be moderated by our very own Joey Hudson and Bill Frady tonight, so that's going to be very important. And listen, early voting has started in all of these things. You guys need to get now. We got to get this done, y'all. It doesn't matter who you vote for. You just got to get out there and vote. This election's coming up on Tuesday. You need to make sure that you go ahead, get in the habit now of every single election, every single time getting out there and casting your ballot, because that is the only way that we get good candidates, and it is the only way that we can actually make change here in South Carolina. So just be aware of that election coming up, early voting, from what I was hearing, absolutely pathetic early voting numbers. Hopefully a lot of people are just planning on going out on Tuesday. Fingers crossed that's going to happen. So, again, the Senate 12 debate going on at the Duncan Events Center tonight, 6:45. That's going to be taking place. It's brought to you by the Palmetto House Republican Women, News Talk 98.9 WRD, and, of course, the 4th District Republican Club. And, again, Joey Hudson and Bill Frady are going to be moderating that. Well, today is the 16th day of the government shutdown. And you can always remember how many days it's been by what the date is. Because October 1st was the first day of the Chuck Schumer shutdown. Today being the 16th, it's the 16th day. And we know this is a Schumer shutdown. And I'll be honest, can it just you and me talk here for just a second? I'm kind of sick and tired of talking about this shutdown. I really am. We know it's the Democrats doing it. They know it's the Democrats doing it. The media knows it's the Democrats doing it. But they want to get out there and try to claim it's the Republicans when every Republican is voting to keep the government open. But they want to add $1.5 trillion to this continuing resolution, and the Republicans are going, no, I think we've spent quite enough. Thank you. That's the way you do things at your house. No, honey. We can't do that. We're already deep enough in debt. We don't need to be taking any more debt on, and that's what the Democrats want you to do. And they wanted to use it for things like, pastry classes. And this is real. This is not even Charlie being funny or joking around. This is real. They want to use it for things like giving pastry classes to Haitian male prostitutes. Now, you may think, why would we spend the money on that? Because here's what's going to happen if the Democrats get their way. This money is going to go to an NGO, right? It's not going to go directly to the Haitian male prostitute pastry baking classes. This is going to go to an NGO, and they're going to take their big old chunk out of it, and they're going to send the rest down to the next NGO. And they're going to take that big old chunk out of it, and they're going to send it down to the next one, and it's going to go down and down and down until probably you get about a penny on the dollar actually going to have these classes, if that much. Might be a tenth of a cent on a dollar. So where's all that money going that's gone to the NGOs? Well, the NGOs are going to take that money, and they're going to turn it around, and they're going to make campaign contributions to the Democrat Party. You see why this is so important for them? It is unbelievably important. As of right now, the odds of the Democrats retaking the House, this is brand new study that was done, brand new numbers coming out today. The odds of the Democrats retaking the House of Representatives in the midterms is down to 20%. That's abysmal. That's abysmal. But they want to keep this open. They want to keep the government shut down until after the No Kings rally that is going to be happening on Saturday. All right? So, here's what we're hearing also. Breaking news. Dun, dun, dun. We are hearing that there are plans to have people dress up in MAGA attire, show up wearing MAGA hats, maybe a patriotic T-shirt, maybe some of those Charlie Kirk Freedom T-shirts, whatever it is, maybe some of those that, it's got the 13 stars on it, the Betsy Ross flag, things like that. Maybe wearing Don't Tread on Me, Gadsden flag T-shirts. And they're going to cause trouble. And they think this is going to make the Republicans look bad. Now, this is twofold, okay? Number one, they're going to blame MAGA if any trouble gets caused. And if any trouble gets caused, they're going to claim that they didn't do it and it was all the MAGA crowd. So just be aware of that. But I'm wondering something. I'm wondering if Kash Patel is going to send any undercover FBI agents, or we'll even use the appropriate term, plainclothes FBI agents, to all of these No Kings rallies that are going on. That's what I would love to know. Are they going to be there? Let me tell you what you're going to see the dregs of society show up at these rallies. You're going to see the pro-Hamas crowd there. You're going to see the anti-Semite crowd there, and those two are very similar, but sometimes different. You're going to see the greenie weenies there. You're going to see the owls, the old white liberals. You're going to see the illegal aliens. You're going to see the people that support illegal aliens. You're going to see criminals. It is going to be the worst of the worst showing up at these rallies. And we've even got one going on, down on Main Street here in Greenville. That'll be interesting to see. So just be aware of that. Let's go to Stephen in Piedmont and talk to him. Stephen, welcome, my friend.
Hey, Charlie, how you doing?
I'm great, bud. What's up?
Hey, I can definitely see it, that somebody down there is not going to get the memo, and then you'll probably have a few people dressed up in, the MAGA attire.
Yeah.
And then they're going to get drunk by their own people thinking that they're MAGA supporters.
That would be awful, wouldn't it? That would be awful if that were to happen. I would laugh. I would laugh so much, Stephen. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. All right, when we get back, AOC and Bernie Sanders, they went on CNN last night. And they showed just how unhinged they are. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Streaming stimulating talk and breaking news on your phone 24/7 on the Odyssey app. You're on the drive with the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas. app and type your message on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
You know what I really love? I love when stupid people expose themselves. And that's exactly what has happened. They are absolutely ridiculous. They truly are. So the AOC and Bernie Sanders went on CNN last night, and they showed everybody just how completely unhinged they are. Listen to this.
But are you saying that Senator Schumer should not be worried about a primary challenge from you?
I mean,
All right.
no.
Let me jump in on this one. This is
what we're talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking.
This is what we're
You have a
talking
country
about.
that is falling apart. We had a housing crisis, a healthcare crisis, an education crisis, massive income and wealth inequality, a corrupt campaign finance system, and the media says, "Oh, you're going to run? What are you going to run for?" Nobody cares. She'll run what she wants.
Nobody cares. It's the House Speaker and President Trump and the Vice President saying it.
Right.
Pardon?
Well, of course, they're saying it to deflect attention away from the real issue.
Exactly.
And here, let me tell you what the real issue is. Let's see if CNN talks about it. We're living in the richest country in the history of the world.
You should know because you are in the top 1%, Bernie, and so is AOC.
Right? All right, you tell me why we're the only nation not to guarantee health care to all people, the only nation not to guarantee paid family and medical leave, why we have a $7.25 an hour minimum wage, why we have 800,000 people sleeping out on the street, why we have a president who denies the reality of climate change, why we have oligarchs on top who have more and more power every day. Let's talk about that issue, not her own political.
And let's tell you, it's what we else are going to do. Let's talk about my books and my 3 houses that I got. And let's talk about AOC's penthouse apartment in the most expensive neighborhood in Washington, D.C. Let's talk about those things. That's what we need to talk about. Let's talk about us taking a private jet to all of these rallies that we were on. Let's just talk about it. Bernie Sanders, you are such a blooming hypocrite. To the max. And there's only one person dumber than you, and that was the woman sitting to your stage right in AOC. Listen to what she said.
Rivers in rural areas were on fire because of corporations poisoning the people who lived in those areas. Poor middle-class communities getting poisoned and dumped on by corporations like Deloitte and
I'm sorry, what was that again? Tell us what you just said again.
dumped on by corporations like Deloitte.
Tell me that one more time, just for giggles. What corporation caused the rivers to catch on fire?
By corporations like Deloitte.
Deloitte. Deloitte is an accounting firm. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They deal in things like taxes and audits and spreadsheets and things like. I don't think anybody over at Deloitte really has access to anything that would set a river on fire. Oh, and if you think that was the dumbest thing she said, no, you would not even be close. Let's take a listen to this.
Instead of talking about having air that's drinkable.
Yes, that's what we need.
Instead of talking about having air that's drinkable.
We got to have that drinkable air. Doggone it. That's how I'm going to make my millions. Thank you, AOC. Sorry, I'm going to steal that from you. Charlie's drinkable air. Available in 6-packs, cans, or bottles. So you can go get yourself. That's what you need right now. A good sip of air. Somebody give me, that air sure is good. You want, but now Charlie's drinkable air is going to come in flavors. All right. It's going to come in lemon, strawberry, cherry, blueberry. You can get it in regular or diet. I'm even going to start selling our new product, Air Zero, that has absolutely no calories. These people. Oh, my goodness. Well, CNN did play a question from a bartender, and let's listen to how Bernie Sanders responded.
My American dream has turned into a nightmare. My family was only days away from closing on a USDA loan for our dream home. Then came news of the shutdown, and now we face uncertainty. Our lease is up, and now we have to move. The shutdown is costing us our chance to live our dream. What are you doing to end this stalemate and help restore faith in our elected officials, the people I helped to choose to guard my American dream?
We're going to do everything that we can to bring an end to this terrible shutdown, which is hurting you and which is hurting 1 million federal employees and millions of people who use federal services. But also, we have got to be cognizant.
Did he say but? Did he just say but? Yes, he did.
Hurting 1 million federal employees and millions of people who use federal services. But also, we have got to be cognizant that if Trump wins this fight, our healthcare system could well collapse.
So, see, he admitted what it's all about. Just, sorry, lady. Sorry your loan was put on hold. Sorry about that. We got a guy to beat over here. We got to go beat Trump. Now, remember, what they're complaining about is the same thing they voted on a couple of months ago. Well, Mike Johnson spoke about that whole debacle last night.
I didn't see it. Many of you saw it. CNN hosts the first socialist town hall where Bernie Sanders and AOC said the quiet parts out loud. They don't know what they want to end the shutdown. They couldn't provide a single viable solution for the mess that they themselves have gleefully created. And by the way, those are the real leaders of the Democrat Party. We all know it. AOC and Bernie. Good luck with that. And amid all that, Chuck Schumer is actually bragging that every day gets better for his party. As you know, that is his words, not ours. All this would be laughable if it didn't come at the cost of American families.
And see, that's the thing, though. Over at CNN, they didn't even push back. The Democrats have they could. You know, it's been 10 votes now. 10 votes to open the government. And 10 different times the Democrats have said no when they could have. Want to remind you, this was a clean CR. There was no increase in spending. There was no decrease in spending. No services. Nothing was cut. Everything was the same thing that they voted on a couple of months ago. Nothing changed. Except Chuck Schumer and others started feeling heat from people like AOC. So, I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's go to Melissa in Malden and talk to her. Melissa, welcome. How are you?
What happened to my sweet Melissa music?
I don't know. It's just, we got to save time. What's going on, man?
No, Letitia James right now is on Fox News Channel. Wow. I don't even know what to say. Like, what do you think about Letitia James and what's going on with her? Because
you mean the fact that she has lied on loan documents? She has lied on insurance documents. She has lied on tax documents. And she is housing a fugitive from justice in one of her homes?
And the Democrats are actually trying to protect her.
Yeah, of course. They have to. She's
So
one of theirs.
What do you think about that?
I think that's just Democrats doing what Democrats do. They love criminals.
I mean, you know what? If we could just have a great reset, it would be so amazing. But
well, let me tell you.
Democrats love violence.
Yeah, they do.
They love insurrectionists. They love all this stuff.
Yeah, what do you think is going to happen at the No Kings rally on Saturday in D.C. and in
Don't even
Washington,
get me started.
in New York?
But let's talk about Fetterman. Fetterman is actually, I think he might be jumping over to the Republican side. Or is he just a skiff to run for the
No, I think he's legitimate, and I think he's actually turned out to be one of the more common sense Democrats out there, Melissa. I appreciate it. But here's the thing about Letitia James before we go to break. Either she lied to the state of New York, or she lied to the state of Virginia, or she lied to the insurance company, which is fraud, or she lied to the IRS, which is fraud. All of those are fraud. Now, she told different things to different entities. So I don't know what kind of a jury she's going to get in the Eastern District of New York, but just looking at the evidence that I've seen, this woman is as guilty as the day is long. When we get back, the Texas GOP is doing something that I wish we would do here. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of nonstop breaking news and stimulating talk kicks off every hour.
On the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9
WORD.
the voice of the Carolinas.
Chat with Charlie.
800-905-0989. Save it on your phone.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, welcome back to the program. Let's go to the WORD talk line. We'll talk to Gerald in Cowpens. Gerald, you going to that No Kings rally this weekend?
No, actually, Charlie, I would like to know. I would actually like to know who authorized the permit for those clowns to even march downtown Greenville.
Well, you would have to go look at Mayor Knox White's office for something like that, and the city administrator. They're not going to deny these people that permit. They're never going to do it. I'm surprised they're not doing it down at Unity Park. I appreciate it, Gerald, but y'all be careful when you're headed downtown. This is going to be Saturday afternoon. I hope I didn't say tomorrow. Saturday afternoon, so we'll see what happens with that. But the big one going on in Washington, and then they're going to have one in New York, and they'll probably have one in Chicago, San Francisco, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, we know it's ridiculous. We absolutely do. Okay, you may not know this, because maybe, and I don't blame you. I mean, if you don't have to follow some of this stuff, you don't need to. But we here in South Carolina and the folks in Texas have a lot in common. And two of the things that we have in common, number one, we both have open primaries. And number two, because we have open primaries, our state legislatures are full of rhinos. Remember when the Texas Republican-controlled House tried to impeach Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas? Do you remember that? Oh, yeah, they came close to doing it, too. Almost got him thrown out. And you wonder, what was it? Why did they come up and make up all of these allegations against Ken Paxton? And why would they do something like that? Well, it's the same reason that the Republican caucus in Columbia kicked out the members of the Freedom Caucus. He, like the Freedom Caucus, was a threat to the way they do things. So now they've got a lot of people have been talking about the open primary system in Texas, and they're looking at closing that system. Well, guess who will not allow that to happen? Their Secretary of State will not allow that to happen. And her name is Jane Nelson. Jane Nelson is the Secretary of State in Texas. And she is against completely closing the primaries in the state of Texas. She does not want that to happen. And I will guarantee you I know why. The same reason we don't close the primaries here in South Carolina. The rhinos benefit from it. There's been a law in Texas since 1905, actually. 1905. They've had open primaries. That's why Texas has slowly but surely started becoming infiltrated with rhinos, because they know that just like here in South Carolina, a lot of these people know that if they were to run as a Democrat, they would not win in their district. We see the same thing here, like I said. A lot of people down in Columbia that claim to be Republicans are not Republicans. They are Democrats. But they knew if they ran as Democrats, they would lose. So they ran as Republicans. And then what they count on is their Democrat buddies and cronies and donors to come along and vote for them in the primaries, especially in primaries where there's probably not going to be a big Democrat opponent. So whoever wins the primary, by default, basically, wins the election. And we see that a lot here in South Carolina, and that happens in Texas as well. So the Secretary of State of Texas, Jane Nelson, she doesn't want to close the primaries. Well, Ken Paxton has joined a lawsuit with the Texas GOP to close the primaries in Texas. And the people in the media in Texas, which, by the way, you go to Dallas, man, I tell you what, Democrat, liberal-controlled media, the newspapers, television, It's all just liberal, liberal, liberal. Just like a lot of places are here. All of our newspapers are liberal. The print ones, at least. They're liberal. So we know what side they're going to take. And they can't believe, they are outraged. They are outraged that Ken Paxton would actually go against other government agencies in Texas. Well, I didn't know that was a requirement of the Attorney General of the state of Texas, to go along with everything that the Secretary of State says. So he's joined the Texas GOP in a lawsuit to close the primaries in Texas, or be allowed to close the primaries in Texas, and hopefully they'll win that. Now, weird thing is, I just kind of wonder if Alan Wilson, our Attorney General, and I know these are big ifs, but if the South Carolina GOP decided to sue to close the primaries, which I don't even know if that's possible, but this is just ifs and buts here, would Alan Wilson side with the GOP to close the primaries? Now, we know that David Pasco is running for Attorney General. David Pasco went to dinner. Me and some folks went to dinner with David Pasco one night, and the question was raised, what about closing the primaries? And I will tell you, David Pasco was a little iffy on closing the primaries here in South Carolina. And when I say a little, I actually mean a lot iffy on that. Because even he admits it would be hard for a Republican, if the primaries were closed, it would be hard for some Republicans to win in certain blue districts here in South Carolina. Well, let the chips fall where they may. So we've only been trying to do that for 19 years here in South Carolina. And people are always asking me, somebody sent me a text yesterday, Charlie, why won't they close? Well, first of all, they said, why won't the South Carolina GOP close the primaries? That's not their ball. That's not their ball to play. They've got nothing to do with that. Now, can they come out? Can they say something about it? Can they inform the public more? Can they make their opinions known? Oh, absolutely. They could certainly be louder about that. But all of this falls in the lap of our state legislature. And like I just explained to you, open primaries are the primary reason, pun intended, that they're even in that seat to begin with. We got two bills coming up next year. One is bleh, and the other one is okay. Just okay, as far as closing our primaries. When we get closer to that, we will certainly be telling you more about these bills and who to call and which one to ask your representative to vote for. Because we don't want to end up like our good friends to the north of us, North Carolina. Charlotte, if you thought Charlotte was bad just a couple of weeks ago, they're getting worse. We'll tell you about it coming up next. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
This is Lee Rogers. Be the first to break the news. Share your story at news@989WORD.com.
Act on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. Text or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
I tell you what, I don't know what the heck is going on up there in North Carolina, especially in the Charlotte area. Listen to this. This is pretty amazing. The feds have raided the home of a well-known Charlotte activist. Cedric Dean is the guy's name. This is from WSOC. The FBI raided the homes, plural, homes. FBI raided the homes of Charlotte community activist Cedric Dean near the Palisades in southwest Charlotte Thursday morning. That's this morning. Breaking, I'm just reading right from their website. Breaking, feds are raiding well-known Charlotte community activist Cedric Dean's homes right now in southwest Charlotte. Dean is accused of operating a health care and Medicaid fraud scheme. Oh, lovely. Dean's name and several other properties, including houses, cars, motorhomes, and bank accounts, are listed in a federal court document seeking to seize his assets. Good gracious. I got to be me a community activist, because apparently that's very lucrative there. The federal government is accusing him of a health care and Medicaid fraud scheme. Now, here's the weird thing. I mean, I'm looking at this one. He's got, I don't know if those are Fed cars or what in front of his house, but that's a nice house. Kids, when you grow up, be a community activist. There's a lot of money in it, obviously. So this guy out in front of his house, he had written in rocks, Thug Mansion and Black Lives Matter. That's a community activist in this. And he's running a Medicare fraud scheme. I'm shocked. I am absolutely shocked about that. No, I'm not shocked at all. I'm not shocked at all. Remember what, like one of the big wigs in Black Lives Matter was actually embezzling money from Black Lives Matter? In fact, I'll tell you, only 10% of Black Lives Matter is actually black. The rest are all of these privileged white kids with white knight syndrome. They're going to come in and save the black community. The Owls, they were in there. The old white liberals, they were parts of and they were given money. So this woman was embezzling. And did she take that money from Black Lives Matter and invest it in the black community? No. No, she did not. She bought several houses, both of them in the whitest neighborhood she could possibly find. Pretty amazing. But now we've got a guy in Charlotte named Timothy Larico Massey, a man with an extensive criminal history. He was arrested last month in Charlotte for possessing a weapon of mass destruction. Now, let me ask you something here. If you were arrested today for possessing a weapon of mass destruction, how long do you believe you would be in jail? You would be in jail for a long time, wouldn't you? I mean, a weapon of mass destruction? Do you walk around with weapons of mass destruction? No. No, most people don't. But this guy, Timothy Larico Massey, was walking around with a weapon of mass destruction. He was released the next day. The very next day. So you're telling me the judge up there didn't say, well, maybe, you got a weapon of mass destruction. Maybe you were planning on destroying the masses. So therefore, you are a threat to society, and maybe we ought to keep you in jail for a little while. But no. Next day, out on the street. Well, yesterday, Timothy Larico Massey was arrested. I know you're going to be shocked. I know this is going to shock you. But he was arrested again yesterday. I know. I couldn't believe it either when I saw it. I was like, there's no way. There is no way that this guy was given a new lease on life, a taste of freedom, There's no way he's going to squander that away, but yet he did. He was arrested for assault with a deadly weapon with the intent to kill. Are you kidding me? Hold on. I'm calling BS on this one. You're going to tell me that the guy that was in possession of a weapon of mass destruction has now been accused of intending to kill somebody? I'm not going to believe that. There's no way. There's no way. Unbelievable. But there you go. Listen, you folks in North Carolina, you're getting bad. Not only that, Charlotte, you're getting a bad reputation. I know this radio station reaches well into Mecklenburg County. We go all the way up to Mount Pleasant, North Carolina. And I know you're listening. You need to be getting on your state representatives and telling them to start getting their act together as far as these judges are concerned. Let's go to Henry in Hendersonville. He wants to talk about open primaries. What's going on, Henry?
Yeah. Hi, Charlie. Yeah, well, first of all, in North Carolina, we have beautiful trees right now.
Oh, I bet you do. I bet. Stay away from Charlotte, but Hendersonville, I know you guys do.
I was just over towards Sapphire and Cashiers today, so
pretty lovely.
Yeah, my point was it's just every day more and more. The government has been involved for so long and so much in things it's not supposed to be involved in at all that no one even questions why they're doing stuff anymore. They just fight about who it benefits.
Yeah.
Three quick examples in the current news. Open primaries. First of all, as an independent voter, I say none of my tax dollars should be spent in any way to support a primary for any political party.
Okay.
And that's not the government's role. That's the party picking their candidate. Let them finance a primary if they want one to choose a candidate.
Not completely opposed to that. All right.
Yeah. Secondly, health care, all this debate about the shutdown about health care. Well, where in the Constitution is the government supposed to be involved in health care anyway, whether it's given to illegals or just to citizens or to anybody else?
Yep.
Shouldn't even be a debate.
Right.
Shouldn't be involved. And third one is the continuing resolution. I believe the Constitution says Congress is supposed to pass a balanced budget every year, not pass another continuing resolution every 6 months.
Yep.
So shouldn't be a debate about that either. It shouldn't even exist.
You're right.
So
we shouldn't be
nobody even questions these things anymore. We just fight over, well, why won't they agree to the continuing resolution, or who should get the health care, rather than why is it involved at all? Government is not your mama.
Yeah, you're right about that. But they have turned it into the nanny state. You're exactly right, Henry. We appreciate it. Thank you. So when was the last time we had a budget passed? I mean, a full-blown budget. All of the 12 appropriations bills, all of that. When was the last time we had that? It's been a long time. It's been a long time. The last time the U.S. had a balanced budget was fiscal year 2001. That's the last time we had a balanced budget, 2001. And remember when all of a sudden we actually had, and I got to give Bill Clinton a little credit on this, we actually had a surplus going into the government from taxpayer dollars. And Bill Clinton was asked, well, is it time to lower taxes? And he said, no, it is not time to lower taxes, because I don't believe that the people of America are going to know how to spend that money. He literally said that. I don't think they're going to know how to spend that money. Those words came out of his mouth. That you keeping your money could in some way be detrimental to the United States. I don't get it. But anyway, listen, I think this is going to be the new norm. We're not going to have a budget. We're just going to keep, because remember, all of this stuff that's going on right now, all this crap that's happening with the closed government, we get to go through this again 7 weeks after it opens up. 7 weeks, that's it. Not even 2 months. When we get back, we'll talk about the No Kings protest with author Jenna McCarthy. You're not going to want to miss this. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Tara, Bill, Charlie, Joey, and me, Mike Gallagher. We lead the conversation each and every day on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk.
Charlie.
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
America is back.
Yes, sir. And we are back. And this weekend, actually coming up on Saturday, all over the country, including here in Greenville, South Carolina, they're going to be having the No Kings protest. And listen, folks, let me tell you something. If you don't think this is being financed by some very deep pockets, you are sadly mistaken. Over at Substack, there's a wonderful lady named Jenna McCarthy, and she writes over on Genocides, and she's got a interesting take on the No Kings protest going on. Jenna, welcome to the program. Hope you're doing well.
I am fantastic. Thank you for having me.
So,
the protest or the temper tantrum? Can we call it what it is?
Yeah, temper tantrum. That's all it is. So, this article is really funny. You're a very funny lady. What do you see is the real reason for this protest? I think you just gave us a little bit of a hint there.
I mean, it's so comical. I don't even know where to start for the reason. The reason is just to rile up the anti-Trump people, right? I mean, every minute of every day, they need something to pick on, right? Like, peace in the Middle East isn't good enough. No, let's find something, no kings. First of all, if he was a king, you wouldn't be protesting. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I don't know if you guys have ever, you people who are having your little signs made up right now, I don't know if you've ever taken like world history. I mean, kings they rule by birthright, right? Presidents rule by election. We chose this man. Maybe you didn't, and you're kind of pissy about it, and now you need to go take that out on someone else. But, like I said in my piece, we suffered through, Biden and Obama, and I don't remember any big, protests about it. It's
I don't either.
Up, Buttercup. Your turn will come.
Never once went to a protest rally against Joe Biden or Barack Hussein Obama. Never had my pre-made banner there ready to go. But now let's talk about the financing, because all of this stuff costs money, doesn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely insane. Well, Ted Cruz is calling out George Soros.
Yeah.
There's not, I don't think you can find an actual paper trail. But, I mean, if you go onto I think it's just nokings.org, there are CPUSA, Communist Party USA, the Freedom Socialist Party, the New York City Democratic Socialists of America. And they're proud of it. They're saying, look at all these people giving us money for this, right?
Yeah, and these corporations.
It's like, thank you for the list of corporations not to support. That was really handy. It's like when they give you a banned book list. Thank you for the reading material. I appreciate that.
Exactly right. So it used to be, Jenna, that being a communist/socialist, that had a certain stigma about it in this country. But now, like you just pointed out, they're openly flaunting it. I mean, Bernie Sanders and AOC were over on CNN last night basically spouting socialist rhetoric.
It is absolutely what they want. And if you look at the path to communism/socialism, it's everything they're trying to do, right? It's divide and conquer, destroy the nuclear family, get the women out in the workforce and the kids into the schools where they can be indoctrinated. And and I'm Pollyanna. I say this in my Substack all the time. Like, I'm always looking for the silver lining. I'm always looking, I think COVID was such a wake-up call for so many people, myself included. I used to be a humorist. I was a humor writer. I was not talking about the seedy underbelly of government. I kind of fell into this, and now I'm so passionate about it. But I think that the more we learn about this, the more that it gets in people's faces. Like, this really is what they're trying to do. And please study history. If you're out there planning to go to this rally, look at how well socialism has worked out in some other countries. Just check that out.
And look how well it's going to turn out in New York City with the probable election of Zoran Mamdani.
I'm a native New Yorker. I'm from New York City. My youngest daughter lives there right now. I mean, she won't for long because I can't. It literally boggles the mind. Is it TDS, the Trump derangement syndrome, that is so severe that people will swing to the farthest end of the pendulum just for it to be the opposite of Trump? Like, is that where this is coming from? The mind boggles.
It really does. I mean, when you look at 24 years ago, we had the World Trade Center the terrorist attack, and now they're looking at electing a man in New York that won't even call for Hamas to put down their arms. I mean, I think the people of New York have forgotten, haven't they?
New York is just a lost cause.
Yeah.
It really is, and it kills me to say that. And I went from New York to California, the most beautiful state in the union, where I thank God every day of my life that I no longer live there because they're destroying it. They're just destroying it. And I don't know how people can, the residents, the locals can be okay with it. But like I was saying earlier, my Pollyanna just has to come out. I know a lot of people who are not okay with it. I know so many very proud former Democrats that say, like Elon Musk said, and like so many have said, I didn't leave the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party left me, right? They're leaving me. I can no longer support this insanity.
Now, you liken this, by the way, we're talking with Jenna McCarthy. She's over on Substack at Jenna's Side. You liken this temper tantrum that the Democrats are putting on to when you ran away when you were a young girl and nobody cared.
No, they literally did. I wrote this dramatic, I'm leaving. You asked for, you said if you want to go, just go. And I slapped it on the counter and slammed the door. And I lived out in the country at the time. And I ran to the neighbor's barn and I waited and I waited. And I started thinking about snakes and spiders, and finally I slunk home and, ate my big chicken because they were like, yeah, she'll come home. Like, it's okay. You go make your stink. The part that this is my anti-Pollyanna, because I've read stuff online that's terrifying, like exactly like they did with J6, that they're going to have, people in MAGA hats that are there to cause a ruckus and, get those headlines that they're going to need. And when you have tens of millions of people gathering, somebody's going to get violent. Somebody's going to do something stupid,
Yeah.
And I don't want that on either side. Unlike the other party who wishes for, death and destruction on people, I don't want anybody to get hurt ever. Even my most staunch political enemy. I want peace. I think, at the end of the day, we kind of all really do want the same thing. There's more that we could agree on than disagree on if we could all just stop playing this party game. But it's a little bit disconcerting. Like, I live outside of Austin. I'm not going into downtown on Saturday. I don't want to be around, I just don't.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Jenna McCarthy, she's the author of Jenna's Side over on Substack. Go read it. She's a lot of fun. Jenna, thanks for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Take care. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Total consciousness for the afternoon swoon. You've tapped into the Charlie James Show.
The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie Speaks. You listen on your time. Get the show on demand. Text podcast to 800-905-0989. The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
You know what's weird about this government shutdown? Senators are getting paid, but their staffs aren't. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, we all know that Letitia James falsified those documents. I mean, and that's just it. She lied on these documents. Now, she either lied to the state of New York, or she lied to the state of Virginia, or she lied to the IRS, or she lied to the insurance companies and committed fraud, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are 4 separate entities that even if she did not lie to the state of New York, then that means she lied to the state of Virginia. If she did not lie to the FBI, to the IRS, then she lied to the insurance company. And all of those, or she lied to all of them. And you can reverse those in any order you want. She lied. She is guilty of mortgage fraud. This is from, from Fox News. Here we go.
Letitia James over alleged mortgage fraud. James denies the allegations and says she's being targeted by the Trump administration. For more on this, let's bring in Fox News Sunday anchor and chief legal correspondent Shannon Bream. So what's this case about, and does the Justice Department have a case?
So there are allegations that she did not give proper information on loan documents, possible mortgage documents about primary residence, things that would have given her a better loan system to work with. More favorable terms. She and her attorney are completely denying it. They say this is complete revenge. And listen, presumed innocent. That's a great thing about our system. And an investigation is one thing. Do you get to charges? Do you get to a trial? I don't know, but Democrats have been telling us for years, as they did when she brought charges against President Trump, no one's above the law.
No one's above the law. No one is above the law. Now, again, it's either or. Either she lied to New York or Virginia, or she lied to the IRS or the insurance companies. There is no in between. There's no in between. So she lied. We know that. She's a liar. But if you think the Democrats and the mainstream media have lost their minds over Letitia James, you ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing. This is going to make the Letitia James case look like a case of jaywalking. CNN is now revealing just how unbelievably screwed John Bolton is.
Multiple sources are telling CNN the Justice Department will ask a federal grand jury today to indict President Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton. This would be the third indictment of the president's self-described political enemies in just 3 weeks. I'm joined here at the table with a terrific group of reporters, including Caitlin Polantz, who is bringing us this reporting. Caitlin, what do we know?
Well, Dana, we know now from various sources that the grand jury in Maryland in federal court is expected to be hearing evidence about John Bolton this afternoon. The Justice Department is expected to go in there and ask for an indictment of the former national security advisor to Donald Trump and somebody who is not just well known from the Trump era, but a longtime government official. This is a case where it's been in the works for years. It's been worked on because Bolton at one point was discovered having an AOL email account, according to the sources I've talked to, where he was writing notes to himself about his time in the Trump White House, and that could include classified documents. We also know from a recent search just 2 months ago that there were many documents, including ones labeled as about weapons of mass destruction, about Allied strikes, things that had markings on them that said classified, secret. There were phones, computers, drives, all of that seized from his house. His lawyer has said this could all be very old material from the George W. Bush administration, and nothing inappropriate was being kept by Bolton. But there is still an important possibility here that this is a very serious national security case.
And if you think that's bad, You ain't seen nothing yet. Because now we are hearing that another person has been implicated in the investigation by the Department of Justice into John Bolton. And that person is, are you ready? Are you ready for this? I'm going to give you a hint. In the debate, a fly landed on his head. Do you know who I'm talking about? Mike Pence. Mike, former vice president of the United States, has been implicated in framing General Flynn to get him fired, his illegal possession of classified documents, and his role in January 6th. Bolton recently described Pence as a consistent ally during President Trump's first term. Pence is reportedly also being probed for unlawful leaks, including sensitive national security matters from the Trump White House to the leftist media. Pence and Bolton are said to be facing indictment by a federal grand jury for a litany of federal crimes. Wow, you want to talk about the enemy within, ladies and gentlemen? Could you imagine? Because remember, Mike Pence, because that was, all right, so this was after, and Matt is in Greenville. I'll get to you in just a second, Matt, I promise. So when the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago, that's when we started finding out all of this stuff. Then we found out that Mike Pence, now you see all of those documents that Trump had in Mar-a-Lago, he could declassify all of that. He's got declassification authority. And by the way, all of those documents, the National Archives already had them, just to let you know. They weren't looking for documents. They were looking for what documents Trump had on them. So anyway, then we found out that Joe Biden had all of these documents from when he was vice president. Again, no declassification authority. He didn't get his home stormed in. He didn't get his door kicked down. He didn't get raided by the FBI. And then we found out that Mike Pence had classified documents. Mike Pence didn't get raided. He didn't get his door knocked down. He didn't get all of the FBI treatment. Only Donald Trump got that. But then we kind of flew under the radar a little bit. But the question was raised, why does Mike Pence, the former vice president of the United States, have classified documents in his possession? We might be getting closer to finding out exactly why. Let's go back to Letitia James and talk to Matt in Greenville. Matt, what do you think about this mortgage fraud?
Charlie, I just wanted to chime in on what a huge deal this is money-wise.
Yeah.
When you go and borrow money for a house and you tell them it's your primary residence, you can get a loan where you only got to put like 3.5% down.
Yeah.
Well, now you could always, tell them that and live there a while and then rent it or something. You don't have to stay there forever. But if you're being truthful about it being a second home, you got to put a lot more money down.
Yeah.
Then the loan itself is going to cost you a lot more. And I'm going back to when, loans were cheap. It was an extra, almost twice as much as far as the interest rate. So that's a big number. Then the county, if you got enough money for a second home, the county just wants more money.
Exactly.
And if the second home is going to be a rental, well, then you're going to be profiting on it, and the county still wants more money. So you can be looking at maybe triple the property tax. Then the insurance, the homeowner's insurance is going to consider, well, is this the guy's primary residence, or is he renting it, or is it abandoned, whatever. It's more risk for the insurance company,
right?
Which means they're going to want more money. So, if it is not much ado about nothing. It is a big deal.
It's a huge deal
because there's like 4 different. People would want to. I think I'll buy some rental property, and they're taking their frame of reference of what their own home costs them.
Yeah.
And it is not the same thing by a ton.
You are right.
So, if anybody just wants to blow this off as, well, man, it's a ton of money.
It really is.
And it's all over the place. It's the bank, it's the county,
I think
it's
she's
the
in
insurance company.
I think
It's
she's in a lot of
everywhere.
trouble, Matt. Matt, I appreciate your call. Got to hit a break here, buddy. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
This is Mark Levin. Join me tonight at 7 following Charlie James for the Mark Levin Show, a News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Let your fingers do the talking.
Text the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line at 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
If you'd ever like to email me, real easy, charlie@989WORD.com. I got this email just a few minutes ago from Stephanie. Hi, Charlie. I'm rather new to the area, so I joined a baby boomers group and was surprised when they sent out a No Kings invitation. I'm rather taken aback now, and I'm rethinking that decision to join. Well, let me tell you something, Stephanie. From me to you, you need to leave that group as soon as possible because you are surrounded by a bunch of radical leftists and socialists, and you need to run from them as far as you possibly can. So we do have the No Kings rally going on this weekend, but what does that have to do with climate? Can anybody think of what that? Well, joining us right now is Steve Malloy, Senior Fellow at the Energy Environmental Legal Institute and former Trump EPA transition team member. Steve, welcome to the program. Hope you're doing well.
Hey, Charlie. Thanks for having me back. Doing great.
All right. So what does the No Kings protest rally have to do with climate change?
Well, the No Kings rallies are just going to be, it's every leftist nut job organization showing up and getting his members to show up. And that includes all the leftist environmental groups. And, of course, what else is there in the environment but these leftist groups?
Yeah.
So, you got Union of Concerned Scientists. They're not really scientists. They're just environmental leftists. And, they've been assigned to work on, communism by advancing, various extreme radical environmental policies. And so there's a lot of these groups showing up. I mean, every left-wing group is going to show up. The pro-abortion forces,
Sure.
environmentalists, climate activists, just, they're all funded by George Soros or other left-wing dark money outfits. And, they'd be doing this whether they thought Trump was a king or not. This is a guy.
Right.
This is just getting their agenda out there.
Mike Johnson called it the anti-America rally, and I believe that's exactly what it is because some of this money, do they have connections with the Chinese Communist Party?
Well, so that's really important. Congress right now is looking into, when it comes to the environment, how much funding, U.S. environmental groups get from places like communist China or even Russia. I think, Russia and Putin have been behind the youth climate movement in Europe. It would be foolish to think that, the Chinese are not here funding some of these groups. I mean,
Right.
The Chinese, they're pretty bold. They purchased the Harvard University School of Public Health about 10 years ago for $350 million. And since then, you have these Chinese researchers under the guise of Harvard pumping out this research that supports climate alarmism and other regulations that are not making America great.
I bet they're not going to point out how much of a carbon footprint they're going to leave when they fly up to D.C. and to New York and all of these places that are having, and what a giant mess they're going to leave, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is standard fare for all these green protests. I mean, you would think that these people would be uber neat and make sure their trash goes in all the proper receptacles. It always looks like a disaster area, which contrasts strongly with conservative rallies. Conservative rallies, no mess. Everything is neat.
You're exactly
no
right.
Violence, no mess, nothing. You go to these rallies, violence, threats, mess.
We're also hearing that they're going to get a bunch of people to dress up like MAGA supporters and go in and cause trouble. Do you see violence happening at any of these rallies on Saturday?
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if there are any clashes between conservative media guys that go, or maybe there will be some counter protests. Who knows? Of course, maybe there will be some street theater where they just, get people to dress up as, in MAGA hats, and who knows? We had that whole January 6th experience with all the FBI agents in the crowd. Who knows?
Right.
I
Well,
mean, we're in a place where anything could happen.
Yeah, well, we're talking with Steve Malloy. Steve, I think all of it's theater. That's all it is. I mean, they don't truly believe that Trump is a king nor wants to be a king. This is just them. I mean, it's like we had a previous guest, Jenna McCarthy. I mean, this is just a big old temper tantrum, right?
Well, I think it's more than a temper tantrum. I mean, this is a political movement that in some ways is in dire straits. I mean, Republicans control the federal government, and President Trump, unlike any other Republican president, is aggressively, trying to chop back the oppressive federal government we've had. And, especially, my work is like at EPA, 90% of EPA staff is not working now, and President Trump is moving to get rid of as many of those people as he can, and I'm all for that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Of course that is upsetting a lot of these people who have spent their entire, last 30, 40 years capturing all these institutions for the left.
Yeah, and now they're seeing it slipping from their grasp. Steve Malloy, always a pleasure to talk to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Charlie, thank you. Yeah, bye-bye.
Take care. And yeah, that's all. Temper tantrum. It's theater. You're going to have the worst of the worst. Now, I don't predict anything. I'll be honest with you. Be kind of honest with you here. Kind of thinking about baby riding by. I know. JJ's giving me the look, but I know I'm just maybe thinking about riding by. Check it out, the No Kings rally coming up Saturday afternoon down on Main Street. To see what's happening there, to see how many people are actually there. See if Knox White is out there with a No Kings banner. Yeah, we'll see if that happens. But anyway, I don't predict anything crazy is going to happen there, but we'll see. Do I think craziness is going to happen in D.C.? Yeah, I do. Do I think it's going to happen in New York? Absolutely. Absolutely. But all these people are flying in from all over the place. Because if there's one thing that the climate alarmists love, it's a private jet. Bill Maher points that out. We'll tell you about that coming up next. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
When Charlie's not teeing off on the left, he's teeing off on the links. You're in full swing on the Charlie James Show.
On News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas. text or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
And welcome back to the program. Let's talk about the No Kings rally coming up on Saturday. We'll talk to John in Batcave. How you doing, John?
Hi, how you doing?
I'm great. What's up, bud?
I just want to know where we can get our T-shirts to say King Trump 2028.
King Trump, the boy, you would set off their front tiny little braids. I love that. I mean, a little crown that says Trump 2028. Have those on there. I love it, John. Let's make them, man. That's fantastic. So where are these things happening? So here in South Carolina, we got one in Hilton Head, Low Country, Indivisible No Kings Day. That's in Bluffton. They've got one in Beaufort. They've got one in Walterboro. They've got one in, I don't know where that is actually, near Charleston. Looks like maybe the Summerville, North Charleston area. Nope, there's Summerville right there. They've got one, of course, Columbia. They got Myrtle Beach. They got Florence, Rock Hill. They've got, let's see, Indian Land. They've got one in Fort Mill and Spartanburg, Greenville, Seneca. They've got those places. So, but here's what I'm noticing. Here's what I'm really noticing. In rural South Carolina, there are no, in Barnwell, Allendale, Hampton, Sumter, Edgefield, Saluda, Greenwood, Abbeville, Anderson, Camden, Kershaw, Great Falls, Lancaster, Bishopville. They don't have them. They don't have the No Kings rally there. All of these places where they appear to be having these rallies, you know what the common denominator is there, right? That's where people got a little bit of money. You go to Allendale. Go to Allendale and see if anybody there cares about the liberal talking points about no king. No, they don't. They're too busy trying to live their lives and recover from Joe Biden's 4 years. This is a upper class rally. That is all it is. This is the largest virtue signaling rally that America has probably ever seen. These people are going to be flying. They're going to be staying in fancy hotels. I would love to see where, now I know it's not Trump International Hotel anymore in D.C., but I would love to see if that place is booked up for the weekend. I'd love to see if the Phoenix Park Hotel is booked up for the weekend. Those aren't cheap places to stay, y'all. So you got these upper class people that are going to be showing up at these events. Lower class, they don't care. They don't care about this stuff. They're too busy out there living their lives. But again, this is the largest virtue signaling event maybe in the history of America. And I'm wondering how many of these people are going to be flying in on jet airplanes. I'll guarantee you some of them are going to be flying in on private planes. At least I know the organizers will, right? They will be. Well, Bill Maher, who gets it more and more, Bill Maher is starting to get things right. Listen to his take on the celebrities and climate change.
All the environmentalists of Hollywood and Washington do it. Their position on climate change is, we must do more to stop pouring carbon into the air, except for me when I want to go somewhere and then I take a private jet. Every other person who calls themselves an environmentalist who can. Now enjoy this fun photo collage of some of your favorite stars and politicians who speak about the need to reduce our carbon footprint, but who are always on private planes. That's right, all of them. If you don't see a celebrity's picture here, it's because we weren't allowed to use it. Or their series got canceled. Turns out there is one thing in this world that is completely impossible to resist, and this is it. It's like heroin. If you do it once, you'll never stop. There are two kinds of people in the world, those who fly private and those who would if they could.
I mean, I'm one of those people. I have never flown in a private jet. I've flown in a private airplane, but I've never flown in a private jet. Oh, that is definite. You know how rich I want to be? I want to be so rich that I can fly on a private jet and not take a selfie. That's how rich I want to be. Where it's just, I don't know. Anyway, I've flown on a private airplane, never on a private jet. I bet that is sweet, sweet, sweet. But again, that's all this is this weekend. Virtue signaling. It's the big virtue signaling event going on in Washington, D.C. and in New York and in Greenville. Unbelievable. It's going to be a bunch of old. I want to see how diverse this crowd is. I can't wait until the pictures come out. I want to see if, diversity, equity, and inclusion that they're all clamoring for is actually all that diverse, equitable, or inclusionary. Because I guarantee you, 90 to 95% of that crowd is going to be Caucasian. I will almost guarantee it. I really will. Coming up, we'll talk more about the No Kings rally with Jenny Beth Martin. Also going to talk with her about Charlie Kirk. Who are we talking with, JJ? All right, let's go to Wes in Greer. How you doing, Wes?
Hey, Charlie, I have a private plane story for you.
All right.
My dad, this is, 20 years ago, he gets to go with a couple friends of his by the invite of another gentleman that they knew that had a jet. Okay, so they all fly up and to the Indy 500.
Oh.
And so when they're, Dad loves it, but he's there with another friend. So I think on the way back, one of the friends floats the idea that everybody should chip in for gas, right? That would be the only cool thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Let's all chip in for a little fuel, So the guy's name was Tony. So Tony kind of walks out. He says, well, guys, you don't have to worry about that. He said, but if it really bothers you, it's probably only going to cost us about $5,000. Okay, my dad said, $5,000. Hey, man, this is something that normal people don't ever get to.
I don't want to play. Yeah. I don't want to pay that fuel bill. Hey, Wes, I appreciate it. Got to hit a break here. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking news and stimulating talk begins every hour on the Charlie James Show. Afternoons 3 to 7 on News Talk 98.9.
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Hey, Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk.
Charlie.
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
We got the big No Kings rally coming up this weekend, but we got even bigger news. John Bolton has been indicted. 14 counts. The grand jury returned a 14-count indictment against John Bolton. So we'll give you more details as they come in. But we've also got a government shutdown. Day 16 of this, 10 times the Democrats have voted to keep the government shut down. Joining us right now is Jenny Beth Martin from Tea Party Patriots Action. Jenny Beth, hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Charlie.
Before we get to the government shutdown, I want to talk to you about your friend, Charlie Kirk, because you attended the huge memorial in Arizona. You attended the memorial at the Kennedy Center. His legacy is just, I mean, what we're seeing now with Turning Point USA and how huge that is getting on campuses all over this country. I mean, this guy really left his mark on the world, didn't he?
He really did. I met Charlie when he was 19 years old through a mutual donor of ours. And so I knew him since he was really just a kid and watched him grow into a man. And he just, my goodness, what he accomplished was so amazing.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in the last 2 years in Arizona. And oftentimes I would set up for the day in their offices over at Turning Point. They let me use their offices as a home base, so I didn't have to just work out of a hotel. And every time I would leave that campus, I just would think, wow, he has a world-class organization going. He is doing real things, making real accomplishments, and making a difference with real people. And that's a big deal, Charlie, because a lot of people, they're just an influencer or they, I don't know, they don't have a lot of substance underneath. Like you peel it back and it's sort of, there's not a lot there. But with him, it just was this massive campus, lots of employees. I watched it with my own daughter. She started a conservative club in high school and got involved with Turning Point. She was involved with Turning Point when she was in college. I watched the kind of support and training they provided. And I was so proud to be able to partner with them as Tea Party Patriots Action, partnering with Turning Point Action. And the mark he is leaving and the people who are responding and people who are stepping up and starting clubs and getting involved in joining their local group on their campus and no longer being afraid to talk about their faith and also their freedom. I think it's just so important. And I think that his name will be remembered in history books.
You know, I read a report yesterday that Bible sales are up 41%, Christian apps are up, Christian music downloads are up, and I got to credit Charlie Kirk for that because I think people really started looking into faith once they started looking into seeing what this Charlie Kirk guy was all about.
Yeah, I think that is exactly right. There a lot of people in the service in Arizona, the one with over 100,000 people.
Yeah.
There was an altar call, and you're supposed to be praying and have your eyes closed, but I didn't because I wanted to see how many people were responding to the altar call. It was just stand in place if you are accepting God and Christ as your Savior for the first time. And there were so many people standing up and doing this for the very first time in their life. And it is amazing. It's amazing to see in my church locally. We had new families who were joining about 2 weeks ago, and they were citing the reason that they wound up coming to church and joining a church and getting baptized for the first time as adults is because of Charlie Kirk. And so I think a lot of people before he died did not understand just how important his faith was to him. But now that he has died, his faith is bringing so many more people to Christ, and that is pretty remarkable.
It really is. Day 16 of the government shutdown. What comes after the government gets opened again, Jenny Beth Martin?
Well, it all, I guess, really just depends on how the government gets reopened. Right now, the Republicans are holding firm and saying, we've not asked for anything different except to fund the government at the level we're already funding it. That's all that we are asking for. And the Democrats are saying no to that. And so the Republicans are holding firm.
They are holding firm, but it seems like the Democrats are too for now. They're holding out until they have this No Kings rally this weekend. I don't even understand why they're doing that, but I think the American people, no matter what the mainstream media says, I think they realize this is a Democrat shutdown.
Well, I think that they do as well. At some point, we are going to have to address some things related to Obamacare because there is a COVID-era bailout or subsidy that is expiring at the end of this year, and that is going to have to be addressed. That's what the Democrats are. That is what the Democrats are citing as a reason for shutting things down. But then you look at the bills that they put forward, and so that's what they're citing as a reason. But that doesn't have to be done with right this second. It can wait. And what Speaker Johnson has said is he wants it to go through the appropriation process so that we're debating health care and a health care bill related to health care spending. And then we debate military and the military bill related to military spending. And there are like 12 different appropriation bills. But in this it doesn't do that. So what we do know, though, is that the alternative continuing resolution that they put forth would put back in place funding that has been peeled back from the One Big Beautiful Bill from the Working Family Tax Cut. It would provide health care benefits to illegal aliens.
Yep.
And some of the things that Russ Vought has done through the Office of Budget and Management, cutting through rescissions, cutting government spending that was not spent at the end of the year. So they're just saying, okay, it wasn't spent, we're not going to spend it. It just goes back in the Treasury. That they don't want that to continue, and they want to end the ability to have rescissions. So I think that they're just wrong on that. They can't get that. And elections do have consequences, and those accomplishments that President Trump has had are part of the consequences and the rewards for him winning the White House.
Yeah, exactly right. And they even wanted to pull funding from rural hospitals. Do you think it's going to last much longer?
I was on Capitol Hill yesterday and this morning, and I was hearing that it may last into November.
Oh, wow.
I don't know for sure, but that's what I was hearing from members of Congress. So I don't know if I'm supposed to say that on the air, but
a lot of people are going to be very upset about that.
Yeah, I think it's going to go beyond just this weekend. And part of that, I would suspect, is because President Trump is doing everything he can to take care of people and to lessen the pain of the shutdown. So he's paying the military. He's working to help make sure that people who are dependent on government benefits are getting benefits or getting some of the benefits. And I think because he is doing that, it makes it a little bit easier for the Democrats to just keep digging in. But he's doing the right thing. If he didn't do that, he would be blamed, and he is within his authority and power to do it. So I don't think he shouldn't do it, but it may wind up having an unintended consequence. In the meantime, though, the flip side of this, Charlie, is that then activists, probably many people listening to this right now, are going, yeah, but he's laying off people and he's cutting funding and saying, well, this program is now going away because of the shutdown, and that program is going away. And so many of us are like, okay. So it's hard to be really upset that it's shut down when those kind of cuts that we've wanted to see to the government are happening because of the shutdown.
Yeah. Not a lot of conservatives complaining too much.
Nevertheless, but here's the thing. Even if we're glad those cuts are happening, there are legitimate functions of the government. The government has to get open again at some point. And the Democrats have caused this, and we do need to keep the pressure on the Senate, and especially on the Senate Democrats, to get it reopened. Just because we're getting cuts that we want to see happen doesn't mean that this is the best way to accomplish it. I don't mind that we're accomplishing it, but there are other ways to accomplish it, and I do know that the government has legitimate functions, and at some point it's got to reopen.
Yep, you're right. Jenny Beth Martin, always a pleasure to talk to you, ma'am. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Clear skies tonight with a low temperature.
When nasty weather strikes, stay in the know with the upstate's largest staff of meteorologists 24/7 on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie Speaks. You listen on your time. Get the show on demand. Text podcast to 800-905-0989. The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
This is absolutely glorious. Thank you, Texter, for alerting me to this. If you go to the Medicare website at cms.gov, that's cms.gov, they've got a banner at the top of the Medicare website, and it says, due to the Democrat-led shutdown, updates to information on this website may be limited or delayed. Mission-critical activities of CMS will continue as the Trump administration works to reopen the government for the American people. Good for you guys putting that stuff. I hope that's it. If it's got .gov on it, it needs to have that banner. 100%. Well, John the Mustache Bolton has been indicted. A federal grand jury in Maryland, of all places, indicted John Bolton, who served during the Trump's first term from April 2018 to September 2019. He was indicted on charges relating to his handling of classified information. Documents with confidential and secret markings were found inside Bolton's Washington, D.C. office. This is from the Liberty Daily. During an August 22nd Federal Bureau investigation raid, including some with references to weapons of mass destruction. According to a September court filing, federal agents searched Bolton's Maryland home the same day, but did not find classified materials at the location. These materials, many of which are documents that have been previously approved as part of a pre-publication review for Ambassador Bolton's book, were reviewed and closed years ago. That's according to the attorney for John Bolton, Abby Lowell. Under former President Joe Biden, the Department of Justice dropped the probe in 2021. You see, they opened up a probe, Merrick Garland did, against John Bolton. But because John Bolton was so rabidly anti-Trump, they let it slide. And how do we know he had classified information? Because he referenced these documents in his memoir. Trump's DOJ opened the criminal probe and sued Bolton in an effort to block the book's publication. Bolton's book, that was released in 2020, leveled scathing criticism of the Trump administration, characterizing Trump as being primarily concerned with re-election. Former FBI Director Jim Comey was indicted in September on 2 counts for lying to Congress and obstructing a congressional proceeding. Democratic New York Attorney General Letitia James was indicted, and as I told you earlier, there is another name that could also be looking at an indictment as far as John Bolton is concerned, and that name is one you will recognize, Mike Pence. Former Vice President Mike Pence has been implicated in the DOJ's investigation of former National Security Advisor John Bolton related to Pence's framing of General Flynn to get him fired, his illegal possession of classified documents, and his role in January the 6th. Bolton recently described Pence as a consistent ally during the president's first term. Pence is reportedly also being probed for unlawful leaks, including sensitive national security matters from the Trump White House to the leftist media. Now, wait a minute. That's not a very Christian thing to do, Mike Pence. Pence and Bolton are said to be facing indictment by a federal grand jury for a litany of federal crimes. They are the very definition of the enemy within. So John Bolton indicted by a grand jury in Maryland, 18 counts. 18. Y'all, somebody over on the stream, what did they put up there? Let me put this comment up here real quick. They say, Charlie, I'm getting my big old tub of popcorn. Pence and Bolton, this crap show is about to get entertaining. You are exactly right, Kevin. You're exactly right. And by the way, if you'd like to follow us over on the stream, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we are on Instagram, we're on, what else? X, Twitter. We're over on there as well. That's where the majority of people watch that. So if you'd like to tune into the stream, always love to have you there. So, all right, when we get back, doesn't it seem like John Fetterman has now become one of the more reasonable Democrats? We'll talk about it next. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie tells it like it is, whether they like it or not. You're locked into the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. app and type your message on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Do you remember when we all thought that John Fetterman was the nut from Pennsylvania? When we thought he was going to be another member of the squad? Do you remember that? And everybody was like, oh, he's crazy. And he did have some problems. He had some brain surgery, things like that. He had some problems, having difficulty speaking and all of that. But he seems to have recovered from that very, very well. And he seems to have become one of those Democrats that you might actually be able to sit down and talk with, actually carry on a conversation, maybe even enjoy his company a little bit and simply agree to disagree. He has given several interviews over the past couple of days. I want you to listen to this. He's on with Maria Bartiromo, and he's talking about the Democrats not being able to celebrate the return of the hostages from Gaza.
Absolute elation. I mean, how can we all celebrate this thing? I mean, you've had human beings held underground for over 2 years and tortured and beaten and starved, forced to dig their own graves and things. Now they can finally come back home. And now everyone should be celebrating these things. And clearly the Palestinians are, and people in Israel are too. And now there are people in our nation, some of those aren't really celebrating or even acknowledging a thing. And that's part of the truth there too. It really was never about peace. It was more about an anti-Israel agenda. And now why can't we all, whatever, where you are politically, this is a huge development, and this terrible, awful war is going to come to an end. And now you can rebuild Gaza, and these families are now reunited. That's a big thing, and it's a strange time if you can't celebrate this.
And he's absolutely right. Now remember, it was his party that wasn't celebrating. And he brought the crowd at the Kennedy Center to silence briefly when he talked about how the Democrats speak.
I'm the only Democrat in my family. I grew up in a conservative part of Pennsylvania, and I grew up and I know and I love people that voted for President Trump. But they are not fascists. They're not Nazis. They're not trying to destroy the Constitution and those things. And that's part of another thing. I refuse to call people Nazis or fascists, or I would never compare anybody to Hitler and those things. And now that kinds of extreme rhetoric is going to continue. We're going to be more likely in resulting in extreme kind of outcomes and political violence and doing all these kinds of things like Charlie Kirk. For me, all I could say is like, let people grieve. Give people the space. I'm not going to use that terrible thing and that Pasek assassination to make my argument and try to put out my views. It's like, my God, he's a father that had his neck blown out by a bullet. And now people have forgotten. President Trump in my state, was shot in the head. And if that could you imagine where our nation would be if he was hit in the same way with Kirk? We really got to turn the temperature down. And we can agree to disagree on these kinds of things. But right now, shutting down the government, I just can't take it that.
And he goes on to talk about shutting down the government as well. Let's take a listen to this as he drops a truth bomb.
That's why shutting the government is really what the Democratic Party wants to do. And I follow country, then party. And it's the wrong thing for the country in a period of chaos. I refuse to vote to shut our government down. I absolutely would love to have... I would love to have a conversation about extending the tax credits for health care. Absolutely. But I would remind everybody, too, this was designed by the Democratic Party to expire at the end of the year. This is not something taken by the Republicans. They were designed to expire. That's why shutting...
Then he's exactly right. Exactly. Don't you kind of wish? I mean, did you just a little inkling over there going, well, you know what? This guy's making some sense. Doesn't always vote the same way that I want him to vote. But at least he's not one of these people out there just with their sledgehammer calling you a Nazi and a homophobe and an Islamophobe and all the phobes that you could possibly imagine. It sounds like you could actually reason with the guy. He was on with this woman, Tara Palmieri, and she asked him a very, very pertinent question.
How do Democrats win back white men like yourself?
I don't know, and truthfully, I'm not sure if that's possible, to be honest. I think that's been seriously eroding for a while, and in some cases, in the conversations I've had, a lot of people, they don't even want to say it publicly, but they just feel like, the other side seems like it's like men, men's the problem, men are to blame, or their masculinity is toxic, or unless you're able to conform to our very strict kinds of definition of what we think's appropriate, well then, hey, I'm going to find an alternative, and they've done that. That's absolutely true. And once we've kind of turned their back on that demographic, it's going to be difficult to rebuild and replace that with those voters, because
and he's absolutely right about that as well. The Democrats had a war against men. So the men said, well, we don't want to be a part of that anymore. This is an interesting text here that I got over on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line. Charlie, it's crazy that I would prefer John Fetterman over Lindsey Graham. How many people out there feel the same way? Right? Let's see. Charlie, how did he slip through the cracks of background investigation when the Dems pushed him? Because that's the thing. They thought he was going to be a pushover. They thought they were going to get him in there, and they were going to be able to mold this guy to do their bidding. I don't think they planned on what they got. Charlie, I welcome any Democrat that speaks like Fetterman. What a breath of fresh air. Isn't it, though? I mean, even though, and that's the thing, even though we disagree, like I said before, with the way he votes on some things, this is a guy you could sit down and have a conversation with. He's not going to show up with a conservative and automatically hate them just because they voted for Trump. Right? So, there you go. Pretty amazing. All right, so we'll be right back. When we get back, I warned you about this a couple of months ago, and I want to warn you about it again. It's the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Eyewitnesses wanted. When you see news, email news@989WORD.com. Chat with Charlie.
800-905-0989. Save it on your phone.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, we're learning more and more about the 18-count indictment against John Bolton. Here's MSNBC.
Yeah, so John Bolton was charged with 18 federal counts, and I apologize, I'm going to look down. I'm reading this. We're still just getting this. We have the first 8 counts are transmission of national defense information. The second set of 9 counts, that's counts 9 through 18, is retention of national defense information. And that looks like it's U.S. Code Title 19, Section 793D and E, which is part of the Espionage Act.
Wow.
Now, there was another statute that they were considering, and it looks like they've only charged him with those Espionage Act statutes, but we're still reading through this indictment. It's 26 pages long. There's a lot of background information here, and I apologize, but we're literally just getting this in right now, so I'm still...
The Espionage Act. I got to know, who was the last person convicted of the Espionage Act? Let's see. Get your spelling right. Let's see. Who was the last person? Most recent person, I didn't know this, Dr. Kevin T. Tellis. Indicted October 15, 2025, leaking classified information to Chinese officials. How about that? Reality winner. Convicted 2017 for leaking a single document to a news outlet. Chelsea Manning, 2023. John Bolton could join all of those people in federal prison. 18 counts. 9 of those counts include the Espionage Act. Oh, and I got to keep reminding you, one of the people that was implicated in these indictments was Mike Pence, because he orchestrated the whole thing about General Flynn, getting him fired, and it says that he also leaked classified information. So could we see an indictment of Mike Pence as well? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. That's going to get very, very interesting. Very, very quick. It was a couple of months ago, I guess now, that I warned you about something that was just kind of hitting the radar. Just hitting the radar. And it was about 764. And I told you to be very careful and monitor your kids. Look for anything, you know how we used to write on our book covers. I don't even know if kids, is getting book covers even a thing anymore? We used to get old grocery bags and we'd draw on them. Look for any graffiti that said 764. That's not technically an area code. It's a satanic cult. And I know a lot of people, they always like to poo-poo satanic cults, claiming that they don't exist, but they do. We know that. And we now know that this 764 cult is real. An investigation by the Federal Bureau of Investigation and German authorities led to charges yesterday against a man accused of convincing a 13-year-old girl to hang herself in Washington state on behalf of the cult. German prosecutors charged an unnamed defendant dubbed White Tiger with hundreds of crimes, including the teen's murder, for alleged campaign of online abuse and sexual predation that victimized more than 30 children. Authorities have linked the man to 764, which is a satanic online movement. The the FBI says is driven by nihilistic hatred of society. The teenage victim's body was found in Gig Harbor, Washington on January of 2022 after she hung herself with an extension cord on a black chain-link fence in a grocery store parking lot. After police sought the FBI's help, investigators found that online predators associated with 764 allegedly groomed her into the suicide, which she live-streamed on Instagram through her phone. The individuals allegedly suggested in online messages that she take off her clothes because it would make the spectacle hotter. The child victim told her parents she was a transgender boy at the age of 10 and later became anorexic and depressed FBI agents learned. According to the Washington Post, German prosecutors alleged that White Tiger began building an online relationship with her while manipulating her and numerous other children into self-harm. Threats against children from 764 have risen in recent years as the cultists lure vulnerable minors into private chat groups and coax them into self-harm or degrading sexual acts. Investigators traced the digital footprint of White Tiger and allegedly found other victims on multiple social media platforms who he had convinced to cut themselves, as well as a photo of him cross-dressing in women's clothes, according to the Washington Post. He allegedly shared the child abuse content with other followers of 764 to boost his reputation in the criminal network. German authorities also searched the suspect's home and found firearms and other weapons, animal carcasses, and online manuals for making bombs and carrying out terrorist attacks. The FBI is tracking nearly 300 suspects related to 764 in all of its field office, according to the Washington Post. So, folks, be on the lookout. Be on the lookout for this. There are people online that are actively trying to go after your kids. They want them to hurt themselves, and ultimately, they want them to do what this young girl did. We live in a dangerous world. Parents have got to give up that whole idea the kids have privacy. No, you should know everything that's going online. And if you don't know everything, they shouldn't be going online. You either give me the passwords to all of your apps, or your phone goes away, or your tablet goes away, or your computer goes away. And when you are on these apps, I want to know about it. And I want to look all over your shoulder when you're online. But we have given kids way too much freedom. And we do it because of social status. Because everybody else has a cell phone. I have to have a cell phone, or I have to have a tablet or an iPad. No, it's hurting a lot more than it's helping. No, kids don't have privacy. Sorry about that. Let's go to Dan in Bowling Springs. Dan, welcome.
So 764 is demonic. That is, it's not 666, but if you play with the numbers correctly, -1 from 7, and then you add the 2 to 4, 666. But when you talk about injuring yourselves and having people cut and hurt themselves, our country is filled with demonic stuff, and you've known that. We all know that.
Yeah.
We need the spiritual revival, but we also need an exorcism of this country. It's not right what's happening in Chicago and what's happening in our country. Anyways, thanks, Charlie.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Dan. Thank you. So be vigilant about what your kids are consuming and who they're talking to. That is your number one job as a parent. Coming up in just a few minutes, the Supreme Court is actually ruling on redistricting. We'll tell you about that because I guarantee you the vast majority of people don't know that this is part of the Civil Rights or the Voting Rights Act. And also odds of the Democrats taking back the House coming up in the midterms are plummeting. And the Democrats are in an absolute panic. Day 16 of the government shutdown. We'll give you a little bit of information about that. And Bernie Sanders and AOC went on CNN last night and completely embarrassed themselves. 800-9050-989. That's the WORD talk line. It's also the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line. If you would ever like to email me, it's real easy. Charlie@989WORD.com. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
While others talk rough, Charlie stays smooth, like a perfect putting green.
News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk.
Charlie.
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, the Democrats have done it again, ladies and gentlemen. Not only are they keeping the government shut down, but they have just blocked the Senate from considering a defense spending bill that would pay the military service members during the shutdown. It was 50 to 44 in this vote. Fetterman, Cortez, Masto, Shaheen, all Democrats, they voted for it. They broke with Chuck Schumer on it because they were the ones that wanted, and just like the Republicans, they wanted the military paid. But the Democrats do not. You see, what they want to do is they want to inflict as much pain as necessary on our military in hopes, now listen, in hopes that they're going to turn against Trump in the midterms. Remember, that is what this is all about. They could care less about health care for illegal aliens. They could care less about all of this stuff. It all has to do with, ultimately, when you boil it all down, how do we stop Trump? We saw it during the first Trump administration. We saw it during the Russia collusion hoax. We saw it with the impeachments. We saw it with them, with the help of Obama and the Obama administration and Hillary Clinton and Bolton and Brennan and Comey. They tried to delegitimize the Trump presidency. They tried to stop him from being elected. They cheated to do that. Then they tried to throw him in jail. They tried to bankrupt him. They tried to assassinate him twice, that we know of. And he won anyway. So now the ultimate goal for these Democrats is to make sure that Donald Trump does not, or the Republicans do not, win in the primaries coming up next year, or in the midterm elections, rather. They want to make sure that Donald Trump's second administration stops next November. Well, technically the next January after this coming. Because if the Democrats win, there will be no bills going to Congress or going to the president's desk. They will start all of these impeachment proceedings again. They will start all of these wild rabbit hole investigations against Donald Trump and his administration. That's what they want. So they believe that this tactic, because they're out there every single night talking about how this is a Republican shutdown, when it is not. Every Republican except for one voted to keep the government open, and that was Rand Paul. They're voting to keep the government open. It's the Democrats who are voting to keep it closed. And they are counting on their friends in the mainstream media telling everybody that this is the Republicans' fault. But again, it's not, it's theirs. This headline should be blasted on every military base throughout the world, American military base. They should put that out there. It should be on the front page of every military newspaper, every military radio broadcast ought to be telling the troops that the Democrats have blocked them from getting paid, putting their families in jeopardy. Man, I tell you what, these people, they are unbelievable. They truly are. How can they face the American people? I don't know. I hope it backfires on them so bad that the Republicans win an even bigger share of the House and Senate in the next midterm. Let's go to Chuck in Mills River. Chuck, welcome.
Man, there's been so much crazy stuff that went down today, news and all that. But I really want to tell you, buddy, you're an inspirational son of a gun. You are. I've decided that I'm going to try to take up impersonations, and I decided that I would start with Nancy Pelosi, and I wanted to run it by you and see what you thought.
All right, let's hear your. Your Nancy Pelosi
Okay.
impression.
Okay, so she was asked earlier today or yesterday about the January 6th and not accepting the help that Donald Trump from the National Guard.
Yeah.
And I believe her response was, you just shut up. You shut up.
That's exactly,
you
yeah.
got Republican talking points, and you're going to have to pass that mixed drink to find out what's in it.
I love it.
Has anybody seen my shoe? Have you seen my shoe, Charlie?
I love it.
How was that? I'm not as good as you.
It was
you set
perfect,
the bar
man.
pretty high, buddy.
It was perfect. That's exactly what she sounds like. Unbelievable. What do you think about them blocking the pay for the military, Chuck?
Dude, that's what I really called about. It's like, okay, so, and I deal with, I live in Asheville, and I have to deal with liberal people, and
Right.
I have to be reasonable, and it's incredibly difficult, but you have to do what you have to do because we're conservatives. We do what we have to do. We go to work. We pay our, but okay, so the Democrats, and if I understood this, I just caught what you said a little bit. So the Democrats, with all the infighting going on, and everybody's getting the blame, and rightfully so, except for Trump. Trump didn't come up with the bill. This was Biden's bill.
Yeah.
The Republicans are doing what they did all along, going along with it. So now it's the Republicans saying, no, we got to spend a cajillion, skillion dollars on this. But now, wait a minute. Just in case we don't want to come off looking bad, we're not going to pay the military?
Yeah.
What the hell, man?
I know.
What the, and here's the thing. I honestly believe this. I'm waiting. I was expecting when Trump said he was going to use tariffs to pay for WIC so women and children wouldn't starve to death like the Democrats said they're going to do.
Yeah.
I fully expected a Democrat to say, well, you can't do that.
They did.
You've
They
got to
did
let
say.
them stop.
Oh, they did say that.
Okay,
They
I
said,
missed
"Oh,
that. See, that's why I listen to your show, man.
You just can't move funds around like that." And he's like, "Watch me, Chuck. I appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks,
that was a
buddy.
great Nancy Pelosi impression." Let's go to Jim in Greenville. Talk about Rand Paul. What do you think about him, Jim?
Well, Charlie, I guess that I wonder why people don't lean on Rand Paul because it would be one less Democrat vote that we would have to get.
I know people need to. They need to be calling his office and saying, "Listen, dude, you got to get this government open. We got to get the military paid."
So I think he's skating on this one.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those no spending absolutists, and I hate to tell him, but that's a losing battle. I appreciate it, Jim. Chris is in Gaffney. Chris, welcome.
Hey, Charlie.
Hey, bud.
You're doing an outstanding job.
Oh, thank you, sir.
I just want to talk about, how the biggest problem in America is the media, the mainstream news.
Sure.
I was watching Mike Johnson speak the other day, and he was telling about what all is going wrong, why the government's closed, and he's explaining what the Democrats are doing. So just for curiosity, I turned it over to CNN, and they had Mike video playing, but he had muted, and had two Democrats sitting here telling you about what he's saying.
Yeah.
And it just angered me that they're not allowed to hear what's going on.
Yeah, they don't want him to.
crazy.
They don't want.
Exactly.
Well, it's like Mika Brzezinski said, "We'll tell you what to think," and that's the way they feel. I appreciate it, buddy. Want to go to Tony and Anderson. Tony, what do you think about this? The Democrats blocking military pay.
Yeah, I don't think it's right. And I think if Trump would offer the military some free, tax-free money for every month they keep it shut down, it may backfire on them.
Yeah, it might. We'll see what he does, how this works out. I appreciate it, buddy. Want to remind you, we've got the Senate 12 debate going on tonight in just about 30 minutes from now. It is going to be at the Duncan Event Center. We've got Hope Blackley, Justin Bradley, Lee Bright, all on stage. It's going to be moderated by our very own Joey Hudson and Bill Frady, and it's brought to you by Representative Travis Moore. This is going on tonight, 6:45, like I said, the Duncan Event Center, the Senate 12 debate. If you can get over there, if you're headed that way, I'd love to hear from you. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Joey Hudson here. Start your day early on Sunrise, Carolina, tomorrow morning at 5 on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Interact on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. Text or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
The WORD talk line is 800-905-0989. Let's go to Presley in Whitmire. Presley, welcome to the program. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing fine. How about yourself, Charlie?
I'm great. What's up, bud?
You know, Trump can stop this shutdown tomorrow if he wanted to.
And how's that?
Only thing he's got to do is get Cash Patel and them, and they'd have a little meeting right there and tell them they're going to start investigating all these, where all this money's going to. These Congress and senators that's wanting to put it back into play where they've been playing with it.
And that's all they want to do is play with it. You're right about that, Presley. I don't know if he can stop it, but I would like to see an investigation. You know what I would really like to see an investigation into? That slush fund that they've got in Washington that pays off people that accuse members of Congress of sexual impropriety. I would love to see. I don't need to know the victims' names. I don't need to know that whatsoever. But I would like to know who has dipped into that fund. And from what I hear, it's like $18 million. Let's go to Lucas in Piedmont. Lucas, welcome.
Hey, Charlie. How's it going today?
It's going good. What's up, bud?
So I just wanted to chime in a little bit on the comments you made earlier about, advertising to the military as far as all publications, telling them exactly who's responsible for Congress.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, having been through a few different shutdowns while in service, most people really already know who the responsible party is, without being political on that side, because the military is very professional and trying to keep it apolitical, which
it doesn't
good
have
on
to,
them, especially in such polarizing times.
It doesn't have to be political. It just has to be factual.
I agree.
Democrats vote to shut down the appropriations bill for military spending.
Yeah, and I know Trump had just looked into some discretionary spending for research and development to pay the troops. So, good on him for making the efforts there. The sad fact about it is every single time we see one of these shutdowns, Congress can't make up their minds, and they'll say, well, I guess first responders, air traffic control, and everybody else, like the military, has to go without pay.
Yeah.
But at least we still get paid because, we have our donors and everything like that, and we're still making, the raise that we voted ourselves last term. So
yeah, we're
how
okay.
hypocritical is that?
But here's the thing, though, Lucas. They're getting paid, but their staffs aren't.
Oh, of course.
And
I had seen there's one representative in Congress from Oklahoma. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. He's been very, very good about publishing videos online. He does tours of the Capitol, and he was asked by a member of the media, like, the shutdown starts, is your staff going to be furloughed? And he's like, well, no, all of my staff is coming in. And to reiterate, they were like, well, why is all your staff coming in? He's like, well, because unlike the Democrats who have to let some of their people stay home, all of my people are essential. Because we only have a handful of people. We don't have an entire team.
Right. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, even our representatives and senators need to live within their means and actually, be responsible with their money, but I doubt we'll ever see that in our lifetime.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? That takes personal responsibility. I appreciate it, Lucas. Thank you. Senate Democrats blocked a bipartisan defense appropriations bill earlier today as the government remains shut down.
Earlier today, the Senate Democrats blocked the annual full-year defense appropriations bill. I mean, this is a bipartisan piece of legislation that always passes. What's going on?
Tony, well, here's what's going on. Our great president, as we just talked about, is making a lot of changes around the world. People setting up and listening to him, knowing that there's a new sheriff in town. It's not what I call Biden, because I think he's Obama's third term in the office anymore. It's Donald Trump, and he means what he says. So I think what the Democrats are doing is they don't, even though they have voted 3 times in the past for this level of spending, I'm not saying that spending's not out of control, because I got involved when Reagan ran for re-election in '83 as a Republican back then. We had a saying that there's too much waste, fraud, and abuse, right, coming out of Congress. It's still that way, and now finally to this point, we have a chance to make a difference. But the Democrats don't want to do that, Tony, because it would give President Trump more credibility. They don't want him to have the option to sign that bill into law.
That's amazing. But here's what I think they're actually doing. I think they're shooting themselves in the foot. I think while, like he said, that they're trying to take away Trump's credibility, they're actually giving him more credibility because they're diminishing their own. The American people are not stupid. So I would love for one Democrat, and they'll probably be coming up tonight on MSNBC or wherever. Just give us a good reason why the Democrats shut down the bipartisan defense appropriations bill earlier today. Just justify it. And I know they can. Let's go to Sherry and talk to her about this. Wait a minute. Hold on, Robert. Hold on just a second. I'm going to put you back on hold. We'll go to Sherry. Sherry, welcome. How are you?
Hey, this is my first time to call.
Well, you're going to get the bell, Sherry. There you go.
Woo-hoo!
All right.
Okay, I want to comment. I am a federal government employee. I work for Social Security, and we're considered essential employees, but that does not mean we get paid. We are not getting paid until they lift the shutdown.
Really?
It just means we have to go to work.
Oh,
we cannot
okay.
take time off. No, we can't take time off or anything. We have to show up for work or we will be considered furlough status. And we don't want that because furloughed people can possibly
not come back,
eliminated.
Yeah, exactly right. So how's the morale at the office right now?
Well, we're happy to be at work because we want to help people. I mean, we love our job. It's very stressful, but we're all worried because we need to pay bills.
I'm sorry, what was the last thing you said?
We need to pay our bills.
Yeah, absolutely. So have you
And
missed?
like our last paycheck, we were cut like my paycheck was less $500. Okay?
Yeah.
This coming up pay period, which will be next Friday, not tomorrow, but next Friday, we won't get anything
Right.
until they lift the shutdown.
So we heard a report today from Jenny Beth Martin over at Tea Party Patriots Action that this might go on until November. Are you guys prepared for that?
No.
Yeah, very few people would be.
Who could be?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're right. You're
But
right.
those of us, my friends, my coworkers, we're all of the same opinion that we don't want them to lift the shutdown just to provide Medicaid and everything else for illegal aliens or
Right.
all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Sherry, I
guess we'll
appreciate it.
suffer through it.
That's right. I appreciate you and thank you. And we'll be thinking about you and your family. And thank you so much for calling in. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
He's got a mic, a mission, and no time for nonsense. It's the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9.
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie Speaks. You listen on your time. Get the show on demand. Text podcast to 800-905-0989. The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, we have got the Senate debate coming up in just a few minutes. Hope Blackley, Justin Bradley, Lee Bright. Somebody asked if that was going to be live streamed, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I wish I had that information for you. Here's what I would do. I would go on Facebook, and I would check with the Greenville Patriot Caucus, and I would check with the 4th District Republican Club to see if they're live streaming. Maybe some others are going to be streaming it as well. So the answer to that, I wish I had a more definite answer, but I certainly hope somebody's doing that. So interesting debate. Now, in this race, which is coming up on Tuesday, if there is a runoff, and chances are it is going to be a runoff, then we are going to have a runoff debate on this show live, and we'll give that information to you just as soon as we know it's going to happen, okay? So there you go. WORD Talk Line, 800-9050-989. That's also the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line. Well, the Democrats are in a bit of a panic right now. I want you to listen to this because usually, historically, the party that does not control the White House makes big gains in the midterm elections. That's just the way it's always been. This midterm election, things could be different because things are not looking good for the Democrats right now.
Well, we were looking at the Democrats with a very clear shot of taking control of the U.S. House of Representatives, according to the Kalshi prediction market odds. We saw them in an 83% chance. But those odds have gone plummeting down. Now we're talking about just a 63% chance, while the GOP's chances up like a rocket, up like gold, up from 17% to now a 37% chance. So we were looking at...
So, and that is before the redistricting. With the redistricting that could be done in several states, it looks like the Republicans could actually gain 19 seats. 19 seats. Now, what they're looking at right now at the Supreme Court was something that I mean, when you think about it, anybody out there that knows anything about real estate knows about red line laws, right? You can't draw a red line around an area and kind of draw people, of color or any other persuasion into that area, nor can you keep them out of that area. That's called redlining, and it's illegal in real estate. But in political districts, according to the Voting Rights Act, that's legal. You can go in, you can literally go in and carve out a district that is 90-something% African American. And they considered that, like JJ said, in a state that's not 97% African American. You can actually carve out a district based on racial demographics. Now, I thought that to me doesn't sound like it ought to be, but it is. Is it discriminatory? Well, absolutely. All you got to do is look at Jim Clyburn's district. Look at that district. And tell me what you think about that. They're like, oh, wait a minute, hold on, we got a black person living over here. We gotta carve it around there, and then we gotta go here, and there's a white guy. Oh, gotta carve it around that white guy, and we'll go over here. I lived down on Calhoun Street in Charleston, and I wanted to be in the 1st congressional district, but I wasn't. I was in Jim Clyburn's district. So I took great pleasure in voting against Jim Clyburn every chance I got. But I was one on my block. We were the only house. We lived in a beautiful condo there. We were the only house. We lived in a condo that used to be a mansion. It was built in 1839, started construction. Beautiful architecture, fantastic. But in this mansion that was cut out, we were the only house on our block that was in that district. The only one. Unbelievable. So anyway, they can do that. Well, that's what the Supreme Court is looking at. And according to Clarence Thomas and several others, it appears like they could be doing away with that section of the Voting Rights Act. And that will open up. Now, this is something I don't believe that the Democrats really want to happen, but there you go. So get rid of that and allow these states to redistrict all the states that want to do it, including us here in South Carolina, because really, like Ralph Norman says, and he's calling for redistricting and basically doing away with Jim Clyburn's district, going from 7 to 6. That'll be interesting. But we'll see what happens with that. But can you believe that at one point we thought it was okay to redraw congressional districts based solely on racial demographics? Unbelievable. We'll see what happens with that. So the Democrats are very scared. Like I said, with the redistricting that these states are planning, and some of them are doing it without the Supreme Court, Republicans could pick up 19 seats. Now, they want everybody to think that this shutdown is a Republican shutdown, but it is not. And Ro Khanna got taken to school last night over on CNN. Let's take a listen to, where is this thing right here? Doggone it, I think I might have lost it. But anyway, he's trying to say it was a Republican, but it's not. We know it's not. Here's that clip I was looking for.
You know why no one believes this Chuck Schumer thing? The country thinks he's too ineffective to actually be shutting things down. Does anyone believe that the Democrats actually are like running things? You got Donald Trump, you got the Republicans in charge, the Republicans in the Senate, and so this argument that the Democrats are blocking things is just not believable.
Did you hear what the senator said? To get something passed in the Senate, you need 60 votes. The first guest on Chris's show was one of those Democrat senators who voted with Republican, but they need 5 more to get there. So you got to understand basic civics, how the Congress works. You got to get 60 votes.
You can do this. You can do it.
You can try to blame. You can try to say Chuck Schumer doesn't know what he's.
He doesn't know what he's talking about. Doesn't know what he's talking about. Again, trying to blame this on Trump and the Republicans. But I think the American people are wising up. I think they're seeing through it. If you want to add $1.5 trillion to the continuing resolution, well, if you want to pay for pastry classes for Haitian male prostitutes, well, this is your bill. That's your party. Me? No. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
This is the Charlie James Show. The right talk. Now more than ever on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas. Let your fingers do the talking.
Text the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line at 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, let's go to the WORD talk line, 800-905-0989. We'll talk to Richard in Dallas. Richard, how you doing, bud?
I'm good, Charlie. You know, half of America's population are really stupid people.
They are not bright. I understand, yeah.
Yes, I was in the doctor's office today.
All right.
And, you know, you check in, and then a girl or somebody come get you. Well, she took me and weighed me and then put me in a room, and we started chatting a little bit, and something got brought up about politics. She said, I don't care about politics. That's all people want to talk when they come in here is politics. She said, I don't care who's in charge. As long as I'm getting my paycheck and I got a place to live and everything's running good in my life. And I'm sitting there looking at that young girl thinking, well, just how damn stupid are you? Because if you don't, I asked her, I said, do you vote? She said, no. I said, well, when things go south and everything's not cushiony for you, I said, who you going to blame? She said, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that's the thing. As long as people have their basic comforts,
yes,
they're okay. They don't care whatever. But they don't even realize.
That is stupid America.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is stupid America. She is a young woman, no more than 25 or 28, 30 at the most, and she's on top of the world.
Yeah.
And she don't even know what's going on.
She thinks she is. She thinks she is, but it's like, and Richard, I appreciate it, buddy. Like the old saying goes, if you don't get involved in politics, politics will definitely get involved with you. Let's go to Robert in Mills River. Robert, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Charlie. How are you this evening?
I'm great. What's going on?
I just wanted to give a shout out to Chuck about his impersonation there. I thought it was really good.
Nancy Pelosi.
He lives here in my little community, and we're like brothers. We talk to you on the phone, and we love you, Charlie. You know that.
Yeah.
The thing is that she is just a liar.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi is just a plain liar, and they got her on film. I think one of her relatives, her daughter or something, took the film of her.
Yeah.
When they was like protesting Donald Trump that morning, she said she was to scratch his eyes out or something like that.
Well,
So
she said, we finally got him. We finally got him. And actually, I am hearing, Robert, I appreciate it. I don't know if this is, because I've only seen one source on this, but I'm hearing people are talking about indictments for Nancy Pelosi. Speaking of that, John Bolton indicted 18 counts. We'll get to that in a second. But we've got a governor's race here in South Carolina. And things are getting very interesting. I know, I want to say it's not getting a lot of press. It will, all right? Coming up, starting in January, everything's going. You think things are crazy politically now. We got the Senate 12 election coming up on Tuesday. We also got the House 21 race that's coming up on Tuesday. You guys need to make sure you get out and vote in those elections on Tuesday. Yes, we're going to remind you. But in this governor's race, things have kind of flipped a little bit because we've got Pamela Abbott, Ralph Norman, Alan Wilson, Nancy Mace, and we've got Josh Kimbrell running for governor. Now, a couple of months ago, Pamela Abbott was down in single digits in the polls, but that has changed pretty dramatically. According to Trafalgar, Pamela Abbott now leads the governor's race here in South Carolina. She's got 19.9%. Nancy Mace has 15.8%. Alan Wilson coming in at 12.4%. Ralph Norman at 9.3%. And Josh Kimbrell down at 1.3%. 41% are undecided right now. Okay, and that's 41%. So if you look at the money that's coming in, as another indicator here, Pamela Abbott has raised $1,415,787. Ralph Norman comes in second with $1,308,346. Alan Wilson comes in at $1,299,539, and Nancy Mace, $1,067,674.61. We'll be talking with Nancy Mace coming up on Tuesday. She'll be calling it, I believe, at 4:06. So we'll have Nancy Mace coming up on Tuesday. Now, get back to what we were talking about. John Bolton was indicted today, 18 counts. 9 of those counts involved the Espionage Act. 9 out of the 18, half of them involved the Espionage Act. Now, you might remember that John Bolton used to go on television every single day, and all of these charges have to do with classified information. Let's go back and just kind of relive a little bit of John Bolton.
The president had a habit of asking to retain sensitive documents. And from time to time, he did that, and we didn't know what happened to them. And it was always a concern that because he didn't really fully understand the risks to sources and methods and other dangers of revealing classified information, that it might get out to the wrong people.
Donald. Aha. Now, that was John Bolton. And do you remember the raid on Mar-a-Lago? John Bolton was all for that.
Trump's influence is declining. That hurts some people's feelings who want to use Trump to anathematize the entire Republican Party. But that gambit isn't going to work. If I do get in, it will be to win the nomination, not simply to prove a point. That's a serious, difficult decision to make, and I'm going to consider it in a prudent fashion.
Yeah, that was when he was talking about running for president. Here's John Bolton on Mar-a-Lago.
It's maybe of the highest level of sensitivity, or they may not. We just don't know. So we could speculate all night here. I'd prefer that the Justice Department move as rapidly as possible as they can through this, in order that as much as can be made and would be made public is done as quickly as we can, because otherwise the department is left out there twisting in the wind, to use a Watergate phrase, and it doesn't have adequate defenses against the political onslaught of Donald Trump.
There you go. So, and then he said this about Trump.
Well, I think it's a devastating indictment. It's very powerful in the way that it's portrayed, but it's also very narrow, very targeted. The government didn't throw everything in the kitchen sink at the wall. It has focused this in a way that I think, as a matter of law, is going to be very difficult for the president to resist. I think.
Yeah, well, we saw how that worked out, and we'll see how the John Bolton indictment worked out. 18 counts. 9 of them include a violation of the Espionage Act. We have got the 12th District Senate debate going on right now in Duncan. If you're looking to live stream that, I just got information. They're trying to get that up over at the 4th District Republican Club's Facebook page, so you can try over there, okay? So there you go. All right, folks, we are going to get out of here. I want you to go out and have yourself a lovely, lovely, lovely evening. I will not be here tomorrow. Adam Morgan going to be filling in for me, so be ready for that. As always, we love you to pieces. God bless. Buckle up. Bye, y'all.